today's episode of RIP is going to be RIP America. Because, believe you me, this country is going to hell in a handbasket really fast. So let's begin. But I'm gonna have my drink as I always do. Have my water. Alright, here we go. Massive cum shots. Let's go, baby. Alright, let's get this party started. Oh man, where to begin on this one? So there's three main reasons why America is on the decline, and it's going down like Fall Out Boy, and there's no turning this shit around. There's no turning this ship around. It's probably a better way to say it. So I think the main and most paramount reason is this woke Marxist culture that just infects everything in the West, and that they're now trying to export to other countries. And the only two countries that seem to have their head up screwed on correctly and are actively keeping this shitty culture out are China and Russia. So when I say woke Marxist culture, it sounds pretty broad, so let's explain what that means. It's any kind of culture that promotes division and confusion amongst races and genders. So for example, we have all these people thinking that you can replace your hormones and private parts with one that isn't naturally belonging to you. I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here, because I know people get their panties in a bunch so quickly these days. So there's that. And the proliferation of that is causing people to not have any control over their own life, because a lot of these crazy parents these days just force their kids to transition or give them some kind of hormone that isn't natural to them. And we've seen the effects of it already. I'll link it right here. People end up regretting it later on and either end up committing suicide over it. And this is what I mean by the division and the confusion. Because not just do we have this, but now we have things like Black Lives Matter that just create division amongst the races for no reason and just stir up outrage in the name of profit. Oh yeah, I know they claim to be socialists, but no, trust me, they're far from it. Everybody's a socialist until they start making good money, my friends. So there's that. And then there's not just division amongst the races, but there's division amongst the genders, and now amongst the gender identities, if that's what you want to call them, homosexuality, all that stuff. Now we have infighting amongst the gay people and the lesbians and transsexuals, all trying to claim their own unique identity, because as we all know, people don't have a purpose in the West, so it's easy to claim a race or some kind of sexual identity as your purpose, because you don't have to work for it. So there's that. And then the last and most important one, in my opinion, is the division that's created amongst the genders. And we all know that's due to feminism. Feminism came in, it took a bunch of women and put them in the workforce, it took a bunch of jobs from men, and then not just that, but we have the media now pumping in all this shit about men trying to be women and women trying to be men. And everybody's just confused, and nobody knows what to do. And because of that, it just creates depression in people. And in the long run, this just divides a society. So when shit really goes down and shit hits the fan, what you want is a cohesive society. You want people that trust each other. And right now, with all this division in America, I just don't see that happening. When shit goes down, there will be people dying. Let's just say that, because nobody trusts each other. We all divide each other by ethnicity and race. and gender and sexuality, and we all think we're better than one another. There's no unity. Half of the people can't even agree on the Constitution anymore. They don't even think the Constitution is acceptable. So how the hell are we going to have a society when half of the people don't even agree on the foundation and the laws that it was built on? So that's number one. The second one is another important one, as I've mentioned before, the economic slowdown that's occurring in the US. And there's many reasons for this too. But obviously, when you have an economic slowdown, you lose your purchasing power and your bargaining power as a nation, and people don't take you seriously anymore. So there's many reasons for this, but perhaps the most important one is that there's no incentives anymore. There are no longer incentives to work. In the past, family and children used to be most people's purpose for getting up in the morning and busting ass. For men and for women. Women wanted to take care of the kids because they loved the kids, and the man wanted to go to work because he loved the wife and the kids. There used to be a hierarchy, a structured order to this shit. It was God above man, man above woman, woman above children, and yeah. But now that doesn't exist anymore. The West is becoming godless. People are starting to believe the science instead of traditional religion. And religion had a point in the past. There was a reason for this stuff, as we're all starting to find out now. There was a reason why homosexuality was prohibited, and certain people weren't allowed to take positions of power. But because of that, yeah, there's no incentives anymore. Because this woke culture creates division and destroys families. You're encouraged to stay single in America. You're encouraged to just live for the weekend and waste all your money because it benefits them, because they make money off of it. If there's two people working together and living together, and there's a family, and they're all together and they're working together, of course they're going to save money, because there's many heads thinking about strategy instead of just one person, and they all care about each other. So there's that. And not just that in the lack of incentives, but another huge lack of incentives that used to be around in the past is that you can't own anything anymore. Every couple of years there's a global catastrophe, and then the Fed has to come around and inflate the fucking money supply. And then I guess you can't buy that house that you were saving for anymore, huh? Sorry. So there's that. You can't own anything anymore, and they've stated this publicly. They've stated that you will own nothing and be happy. So if you can't own anything anymore, that used to be a huge drive in the past for men. It used to be part of your character and drive. Like, yeah, I want to own some land one day, you know? I feel like a real man now because I actually own something. I have responsibility over it. But of course, take a Walmart shopping lot for example. Take a Walmart parking lot for example. You see carts scattered everywhere. Half of them are busted, the wheels don't work. Why is that? It's because nobody owns them. It's publicly shared property. And this is an economic term called tragedy de commons. And that's what's happening. Nobody can own anything, so nobody cares. So because nobody cares because of tragedy de commons, everything just goes to shit. Because nobody has any responsibility to take care of it. And all of the property is all being consolidated by these companies like BlackRock and the banks and the government, because they're all working together, which is the real definition of fascism. Yeah, I know you think fascism is some white guy who doesn't agree with you, but no, sweetheart, sorry, it's not what it means. So there's that. That's the other lack of incentive. And then the third and last thing that's destroying the West is just the lack of work ethic, the increasing delusion amongst the people, and the increasing laziness. People, as I've shown you before, I'll show you again right here. People are just becoming increasingly fatter, increasingly lazier, increasingly delusional. That's why people are voting in socialism, because They're so delusional that they think that they don't have to work for anything, that everything that somebody else produced just belongs to them. Because they've had life on easy mode for so long, you can just get free money from the government. So why would you work for it? It's like if you give a spoiled child or a dog a treat or candy for doing nothing, of course they're gonna just expect that by default later on. It's the same thing. That's how infantile these people's minds are. Yeah, I know it makes you cringe, but that's the reality of things. So there's that. People are just becoming lazier, more delusional. Everybody expects perfection in their life, especially when it comes to dating. Women expect you to be hopping off of a private jet just in order to talk to them, even though they just work some average corporate job. And everybody wants the good life and without having to work for it. And there's many reasons for that. I think the main one is because of social media pumping people's delusions, and it gives people false delusions of grandeur. And then it's apparent that people's work ethic is in decline, because when you go to the store, half of the checkout machines aren't working. The bitch is on Instagram, and when you go talk to her, she looks at you like you took her soul. Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Please continue with your scrolling on Instagram. I'm so much important than the business that I have going on, and me trying to get out of this fucking store where the line is 20 people deep because there's nobody working to serve them, because you're too busy on your fucking phone thinking about when you're gonna take your next photo shoot. So those are the three main reasons. There's the economic slowdown, the woke Marxist culture, and then the lack of incentives in the economy. Because for an economy to work, there has to be incentives, and nobody's incentivized to do shit anymore. And as always happens throughout history, civilization only lasts about 300 to 400 years, and the US started in about the 1600s, late 1600s. So it's about that time. We had a good run, but it seems like we have Russia and China coming up now to take the lead, because it seems like they're the only ones actively keeping this woke Marxist shit out of their culture. And good for them. So that's why America is on the decline. So all I have to say is RIP America.